How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We had some interesting games take place in the final week of Stage 1, and the playoff picture is now complete. A playoff prediction video will be coming out later this week, but for now, I'd like to talk about the Dallas Fuel and the Seoul Dynasty. They are by far the two teams that caught my attention the most during the weekend. I want to start things off with the Dallas Fuel. I know there's a fair amount of Dallas fans around here, so I'm going to try and not be too harsh, and I do apologize in advance if I upset any of you, but I feel that we have to talk about this team after what they did. Well, I guess I should say what they didn't do. I still find it mind-boggling that this team somehow managed to choke. The Fuel found themselves in a decent position to make the playoffs coming into the weekend with a 4-2 record and a +1 map differential. All they had to do was win their game against the Boston Uprising in their final game of the stage, and they'd make it into the Stage 1 playoffs. Not to mention, they'd also have a positive map differential at the end of a stage for the first time in franchise history. I'm sure the Dallas players also would have gotten a bit of a confidence booster too. After a bit of a rough start to the stage, the Fuel managed to win 3 straight games, and all they had to do was win one more time to have a shot at winning the Stage 1 title, and it really did seem like they were going to get that win too. They came out of the gate swinging and found themselves up 2-0 after the first 2 maps. All the Fuel had to do now was win one of the next 3 maps. A tie on Volskaya Industries also would have clinched the series as well. But then, in typical Dallas Fuel fashion, they blew their 2-0 lead and ended up missing the Stage 1 playoffs because of it. I feel like this was the most Dallas Fuel thing ever. The organization gave their fans something to be excited about, just like with the beginning of last year, just to disappoint every single one of their loyal fans. I'm not even a Dallas Fuel fan and I'm disappointed in them. I understand that Boston isn't a bad team at all, but come on, you had them right where you wanted them. I'm sure the Uprising were feeling a little bit discouraged after losing 2 close maps in a row, and the Fuel failed to take advantage of that. I personally think there were 2 major things that led to this choke. The first being that I think the Fuel came into this game a little overconfident. They were feeling good after beating the Dragons for a second time in a row. They were also on a 3-game win streak while achieving a positive map differential and an overall record that's above 500 for the first time in franchise history. I honestly can't blame them for feeling this way, but it's still no excuse. They took their foot off the gas too early, and because of that, they thought they had this one in the bag. The other reason I think Dallas lost this one was because they stuck with the Sombra composition too much. It proved to be effective during the first half, but the Uprising figured them out after the first 2 maps. It was pretty clear from a viewer standpoint that having RCK on Sombra that much even after the Uprising adjusted was just a big mistake. No disrespect to RCK, he's an incredible player, but his Sombra was pretty weak during the second half of that game, and it's not really all his fault either. The Fuel would have been better off having him just play Diva. They matched up against the Uprising just fine when having mirror compositions. One other minor thing that I wanted to add on is that the Fuel had no answer for Aim God. The dude had a really good day, and he outplayed his counterpart in Unco. I'm so sorry, Dallas Fuel fans. You guys are so loyal to your team no matter what, and you deserve better than this. Luckily, the season is just getting started, which means there's still a chance the Fuel could qualify for a stage playoff or 2, or maybe even the overall playoffs. It's very unfortunate that this team choked, and hopefully they make up for it somehow later in the season. Now let's talk about the second team of the video, which is the Seoul Dynasty. I wanted to start off by saying that I am very proud of this team. They're going to be making their first ever stage playoff appearance. I'm sure that all of the players from last year's roster are overjoyed to have finally gotten rid of that choker label that everyone tends to give them. Seoul managed to be extremely clutch in their final game of the stage against the London Spitfire. There was a lot of pressure on them in this game. Not only was a potential stage playoff appearance hanging in the balance, but an opportunity to finally beat a full Korean team presented itself. The Dynasty were 0-9 against full Korean teams coming into this game, but that didn't stop them from clutching this one out. They finally beat the London Spitfire, and they did it pretty convincingly too. Congrats to the Seoul Dynasty, you finally overcame your demons. You beat the Spitfire and locked up a Stage 1 playoff spot. One other thing that I just wanted to point out real quick is that Fissure is still undefeated against the London Spitfire. He's 4-0 against them in case you were wondering. Fissure has been an absolute nightmare for his former team since he got traded away last year. I bet that every Dynasty fan is thanking Fissure right now for breaking the 2 curses this team seemed to have during Season 1. The Dynasty looked pretty strong in this game overall. They took care of business early on by going up 2-0 in the first half, and they didn't look back once they took that lead. I really like how well this team played as a unit during this entire match. They didn't seem lost at all like they did in previous games. Fissure's teammates decided to wise up by sticking close to him and giving him a lot of support. Fissure is one of the best tanks the league has to offer, and all he really needs is some good support, and he'll pop off every single time. Just look at what he did while on the Gladiators, and you'll know exactly what I mean. He outplayed Gesture time after time in the Reinhardt battle this weekend, and a big reason why this happened was because he got good support. Munchkin was the other standout player for me in this one. I have never been one to think very highly of him, but I'll admit it, he had a really strong game. I was actually very impressed with how good he looked on break. Him and Fissure had their fingerprints written all over this game. But, as I said earlier, everyone just seemed to play really well in general during this match. Michelle, Fissure, and Fleta seemed to be on the same page when executing combos, and we saw flashes of the Jaehong we all know and love. He always seemed to be in the right place at the right time the whole day, which usually led to him getting picks, staying alive, and having good Transcendence usages. I feel like the team did a good job of shutting down Prophet too. Containing one of the best Zarya players in the league, not to mention one of the most clutch players in the world, really helped decide the outcome of this match. I thought I'd never be able to hear myself say this, but now I finally can. The Seoul Dynasty are playoff bound. And with that being said, that's everything I got for you guys today. Feel free to let me know what you think of the Dallasfield shortcomings and the Seoul Dynasty's first ever playoff appearance down in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's content, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. I'll be putting out my Stage 1 playoff predictions this Wednesday, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that. And now I'm done here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.